When my husband was diagnosed with his terminal cancer, I expected there would be a torrent of emotions and a storm of paperwork and tasks to complete when he died. But I can honestly tell you, there were things that shocked and scared me. Hi, I'm Joanne, the Windblown Widow, and in this video, I'll share with you 4 ways you may feel you are going crazy and ways that I navigated through them. First, you're not crazy if you're grieving and you experience a roller coaster of emotions. Emotions are a normal part of grief. Sadness, anger, denial, even confusion. And we kind of expect them, but how quickly they come on, how long they hang around, how they keep repeating themselves, maybe not so much. The one that really got me was being happy and suddenly feeling guilty and tapping down that joy because my husband wasn't here to experience it too. I've learned that this is all normal, that I need to not be afraid of these emotions or embarrassed by them. And I found that some family members and friends are great at handling them. Others, not so much. So figuring out how to talk about them or how to deal with them can be hard. So what have I done? Here are 4 things. Number 1, I journal almost every day. Sometimes, mostly in the morning, sometimes when the emotions come along, and sometimes at night. Some journaling is just a dumping of emotions. Some of it is like a letter to my deceased spouse. I find that doing it longhand instead of doing it digitally helps me express and is more cathartic for me. 2, I took part in a spousal grief support group. I've had a few people that have told me they were very happy with doing just a general grief group, and others tell me they had a mixed experience or a bad experience in those. But do try a grief support group of whatever you can find. I found it very helpful to be able to speak with others that were widowed. Number 3, professional counseling has been a big help to me. There are things I'm just not going to say to family or friends, and I'm not going to share in a public grief group. But with a professional that is bound to not share that information, you bet I'm going to share it there. It's been so helpful to me to be able to have that forum for sharing things. So do consider finding someone who will maintain that confidentiality and is trained to support you. And last but not least, and most importantly, don't beat yourself up for having the same emotions over and over. I have some other tools that I use to help me with this part, and I'll share those in another video. Way 2. You're not crazy if you're grieving and your standard self-care like dressing and bathing becomes a struggle. I didn't expect this one. I mean, let's be honest. We sort of think of brushing our teeth and combing our hair and bathing and dressing as sort of standard things that we all do. But when you are dealing with the energy suck of grief, all those things can become really, really hard to deal with. I hate to tell you this, but there's no easy button on this one. You're going to have to figure it out yourself. There are days that all I did was hang out in yoga pants and a t-shirt, and that was good. They were clean ones. And things like brushing my teeth and my hair just had to be part of morning and evening routine. So creating new rituals around bathing and showering that make them extra special to look forward to can also be very helpful. If you do notice that you're falling into a trap of not taking care of your daily needs, be sure and reach out for support from family, friends, or professionals. Okay, we're at the halfway point. You'll want to be sure and hear number 4 because this is a biggie. So keep hanging in here. A third way that you're not crazy if you're grieving is if you are eating to comfort yourself, can't eat, or some mix of the two. Food. Overeating, undereating are both reported by those that are widowed. Appetites can be tied to how we process emotions. For me, once the funeral was done, the family had gone home, I was faced for the first time in years of cooking for just one person, and that just lacked appeal. Meals were always a social thing for me, so I don't have a tolerance for eating the same thing 4 days in a row. So, given that this is such a big subject, again, I'll be dumping a lot in future shares, but I would tell you that it's okay to use frozen or prepared meals, to cook in small batches, even though you may feel that it's less financially feasible, but you'll find that you waste less food that way, and so in the long run you are saving money. We've made it to way number 4. You're not crazy if you're grieving and you feel like you're in a fog and can't remember stuff. Feel like you're not processing stuff. Widow fog is sometimes referred to as brain fog, or a state of confusion when it comes to your thoughts or your emotions. And this is because grief is playing a number on our brain chemistry. And it makes even small tasks, things even like reading, difficult. And it can make it hard to process information. And these simple activities can feel like they're just so heavy. You might even find that you forget what day it is, or even what you had for dinner last night, or whether you ate dinner at all. So how do I deal with the brain fog? First, I make notes of things to do in my journal or in my calendar. 2, I set alarms on my phone. I need the reminders sometimes. 3, I leaned into audiobooks. Now, it isn't quite the same as reading a book, but I found that I could process the audio recording of a book much better, and it gave me something to fill time with and to be able to focus on other than all the other tasks. Little word of encouragement, your ability to read will come back if it's something that is dealt with in a very calm and loving way. And last but not least is limiting the stimuli around you, both auditory and visual. I have found that I have to turn off TV, turn off music. I have to clean off surfaces. Now, that doesn't mean I keep everything done. Sometimes what it means is I take all those things and I move them into a different spot and deal with them at a time that I can focus. So there you have it, 4 ways that you may feel you're going crazy and some ways to deal with them. And chances are, if you're widowed, you've experienced 1 or 2 of those. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Grief is hard and exhausting and ongoing. But I want you to know that things do get a little better, and even if that better isn't what we thought our lives would be at one time. For now, know there are people to support you, including me. Be sure and hit the subscribe and the bell. That way you'll be notified of future videos on living with grief.